Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, has died. Warner drowned off the coast of Costa Rica.
It seemed like Malcolm-Jamal Warner saw it coming. Weeks before his passing, he revealed his final wish to Bill Cosby.
If I die tomorrow, I know I would go with a smile on my face.
Authorities are calling his demise a tragic accident, blaming strong currents off Klay's beach in Limon. But for many, there's more to the story. People are beginning to ask real questions about his death. Questions like why it seems like every time someone dares to speak the truth, they end up silenced. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's final message is both shocking and heartbreaking. Join us in this video as we dive into the details. What Malcolm-Jamal Warner revealed weeks before his death. According to the reports from the witnesses and first responders, 54-year-old Malcolm-Jamal Warner was vacationing with his family in Costa Rica when tragedy struck. He was swimming when he reportedly drowned. According to the Associated Press, local authorities initially said beachgoers tried to rescue him.
The first thing that they do is they bring him to the surface and give the emergency respirations.
Right there.
Right there.
But by the time Costa Rica's Red Cross arrived, he had no vital signs. All efforts to resuscitate him proved abortive, and he was taken to the morgue shortly after. But something about the story doesn't sit right with people. The timing, the circumstances, and perhaps most unsettling, the message he shared just days before his death. It all feels too haunting to be a coincidence, because Warner wasn't just on vacation. He was on a mission to speak hard truths, the kind that make people uncomfortable, the kind that rarely get aired. He wasn't talking about TV or fame or nostalgia. He was talking about identity, about history, about the ways society twists the Black experience into something narrow and harmful, and that perhaps was why he was taken out. Fans have started to notice a pattern, and honestly, it's getting harder to ignore. Why does it seem like every time a Black celebrity starts opening up, speaking truthfully, challenging the narrative, or taking back control, something happens? Something that shakes everything. Warner was in that exact space, not just reminiscing about where he'd been, but boldly imagining where he and others like him could go. His podcast was more than a show. It was a safe haven, a space to unpack the layered realities of Black identity, raw, honest, and unfiltered, not the polished version Hollywood prefers. And in a world so used to packaging pain for profit, that kind of truth, that kind of authenticity, it's threatening. Still, we celebrated him, just like the music they tell us to love, because it was real. And when he died, the silence was staggering. No major tributes, no primetime specials, just a few brief headlines, and then nothing. For someone who helped shape an entire generation's childhood, that quiet felt like a slap. But when you go back and listen to his final podcast episode, something changes. It's like he was leaving clues, talking about erasure, of culture, of people, about Black soldiers who fought for freedoms they never got to enjoy, about how the hood, so often vilified, is actually the root of so much American greatness. He wasn't just telling stories. He was reframing success, not as fame or wealth, but as survival. What you make it through, what doesn't break you. In one episode, Warner recalled a conversation with spoken word artist Tamika Georgia Mee Harper. When he mentioned the title of his podcast, Not All Hood, she quickly cut in, "Ain't nothing wrong with the hood." That moment hit him hard. It made him reflect. Why was he trying to push back against the hood narrative? Why not embrace it, own it, and expand it. He came to realize something deeper. The media has boxed in Black identity for years, focusing only on one version of the story, while ignoring the beauty, complexity, and pride behind it. The reason I chose that title, he said, was to challenge the narrow way Black life gets portrayed in the media. But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with the hood. There's something wrong with the way it's been framed. And now, just 2 days after that powerful conversation aired, he's gone.
But there's so many levels and factions of the Black community.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't turning his back on the hood, not even close. He was shining a light on the system that profits off of it, misrepresents it, and strips it of dignity. In his own words, the hood side ultimately, historically, is what has always created American culture. That's not just a casual observation. That's the truth. A truth about cultural theft, about erasure, about how Black creativity has been exploited and repackaged for profit, while the people behind it remain invisible. And for years, Hollywood has worked hard to keep that truth buried. But Warner didn't stay on the surface. He went deeper, personal. He opened up about how his view of terms like Black excellence had changed over time. At first, he didn't like it. To him, it felt like a phrase tied too tightly to fame, money, and external success. But then something shifted. He talked about a moment that rocked him, learning that Black soldiers had been erased from Arlington National Cemetery's historical records. That injustice reframed everything. Black survival in and of itself is Black excellence, he said. Not red carpets, not awards, not bank accounts, just survival. He made it clear, we're not all from the hood. The Black community isn't a single storyline. It's layered, it's wide, it's full of different voices, backgrounds, and lived experiences. There are so many levels, so many lanes, he said. We needed a space to honor all of them. That message hit hard when he said it. Now, after his sudden demise, it hits even harder. It's as if he felt something coming, as if he knew his time was running out, and he wanted his final words to reflect something honest, something real about Black endurance, about the struggle, about the quiet, everyday strength it takes just to keep going. What is Bill Cosby's role in Malcolm-Jamal Warner's tragedy? Keep watching to find out. The Bill Cosby controversy and Malcolm-Jamal Warner's enduring legacy. For many of us, Malcolm-Jamal Warner will always be Theo Huxtable, the sweet, sometimes goofy, always genuine, only son on The Cosby Show. He was a familiar face in millions of homes. He helped normalize stories about Black families, Black boyhood, and things like dyslexia.
I want to live a full campus life. How much more of a full campus life do you want?
Showing that vulnerability didn't mean weakness. He was steady. He was kind. He was relatable. And now, in his final days, he reminded us of something we all needed to hear. Just surviving in this world, in this body, in this skin, is its own form of excellence. That one image stuck with Malcolm-Jamal Warner for years, a quiet reminder of something deeper. When you look into his life, not for scandal, but for truth, what you find isn't the drama he created. Instead, you see a man who endured, quietly, gracefully, a man who faced serious pain and loss, who carried the complicated legacy of a once-beloved show now shadowed by controversy, and still somehow stayed grounded. Warner didn't spiral. He didn't disappear. He evolved. He explored the emotional fallout of the Bill Cosby scandal. He faced heartbreak. He navigated the kind of pressure that has wrecked many child stars. And yet, through all of it, he remained thoughtful, steady, himself. He turned his struggles into wisdom, his pain into art, his silence into a strength that spoke volumes. It's hard not to feel something when you learn what he went through. There's a quiet heartbreak to his story, but also a powerful resilience. The biggest controversy of Warner's career wasn't one of his own making. It was the storm surrounding Bill Cosby, a man who helped shape Warner's life and career, and who later became the center of one of Hollywood's most painful reckonings. And Warner? He was caught in the middle, between loyalty and public outrage, between personal gratitude and moral discomfort. To understand his reaction, you have to understand their bond. Cosby didn't just cast Warner, he mentored him. After a nationwide search, Cosby chose 13-year-old Malcolm to play Theo. And on set, Cosby led with a kind of humility that stuck with him. Warner often said Cosby never acted like a superstar, even though he was one. That left a mark.
It's the money you ask for when you misspend the incidental money you asked.
Cosby gave him creative advice too, like avoiding trendy slang so the show would age well. Lessons that helped Warner not just survive, but grow. Even as the truth about Cosby unraveled, Warner never lashed out publicly. He chose reflection over reaction, compassion over chaos. And that tells you a lot about the man behind the character. Years later, Malcolm-Jamal Warner would reflect on The Cosby Show with a kind of bittersweet pride. When he watched it with his daughter, he said it still held up. The lessons, the laughs, the warmth. The connection he had with Bill Cosby had been a blend of mentorship and fatherly guidance, which made everything that came later even harder to process. "My biggest feeling is, I feel sad," he once said, just the way the whole thing unfolded. When over 50 women came forward accusing Cosby of sexual assault, Warner was thrust into the public spotlight, not for what he did, but because of who he had once stood beside. His response wasn't defensive. It wasn't dismissive. It was complicated, thoughtful, emotional, and deeply human. In a 2015 interview, Warner admitted, "He's one of my mentors." Just as it's painful to hear any woman speak about sexual assault, whether the allegations are true or not, it's just as painful to watch my friend and mentor go through this. That one quote said so much. He wasn't denying the pain of the victims, but he was also reckoning with the emotional weight of watching someone he looked up to fall, publicly, dramatically, and irreversibly. Warner didn't try to defend Cosby, but he didn't disown him either. "I can't defend him," he said, "but I won't throw him under the bus." How did the storm pass? And what did the Bill Cosby lessons teach Malcolm before his passing? Keep watching to find out. Surviving the Storm. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's Lessons from Bill Cosby. Malcolm-Jamal Warner greatly criticized how the media handled the Bill Cosby story, calling it a circus, a spectacle. He wasn't excusing Cosby's actions. He was asking for nuance, for space to hold difficult truths without reducing them to headlines. It was a painful balancing act, a tightrope walk across loyalty, grief, outrage, and loss. And Warner did it all under the weight of public scrutiny. But what hurt him the most wasn't just the personal betrayal. It was what happened to the show itself. For Warner, The Cosby Show wasn't just a role or a stepping stone. It was a cultural landmark, a game changer. It gave the world a new image of Black family life, one rooted in warmth, education, and generational love. Seeing it pulled from syndication, erased from TV screens, hit him deeply. Because for millions of people, that show mattered. And for Warner, it always would. "We always had The Cosby Show to hold up against the stereotypes," Malcolm-Jamal Warner once said. "And now we don't. That's what saddens me the most. In a few generations, the Huxtables will just be a fairy tale." He wasn't just speaking as an actor. He was speaking as someone who had lived through the show's cultural rise and its painful fall. Warner was honest about how deeply it hurt to see the show pulled from syndication. He spoke openly about the double standard. While the works of controversial directors like Woody Allen and Roman Polanski were still being broadcast, The Cosby Show had been erased almost entirely from the airwaves. Beyond the emotional impact, the financial hit was very real. "It's literally taking money out of my pocket," he admitted. So yes, part of his frustration was about legacy, culture, and the loss of representation. But part of it was also practical. A reminder that controversy doesn't just ruin reputations, it can wreck livelihoods too. After decades of building a meaningful career, he found himself having to reconcile with a shadow he didn't cast. But Warner's feelings didn't stay fixed. They evolved. At first, he acknowledged that the show's legacy had been damaged. But then, a conversation with Kashia Knight Pulliam, who played his TV sister, Rudy, shifted something in him. She reminded him that the show had already done something powerful. It had inspired entire generations, especially young Black viewers, to dream big, to pursue college, to believe in possibilities. That kind of cultural impact doesn't just vanish. "Her saying that really shifted my perspective," Warner later said. That moment was a turning point. It helped him move from mourning what was lost to honoring what had been gained. Instead of letting the scandal completely define the show's legacy, he began to believe that the good it did could still stand, independent of the man at the center of the controversy. This shift showed something essential about Malcolm-Jamal Warner: his ability to reflect, to grow, to hold on to hope, even in the middle of something messy and painful. It was a reminder that sometimes separating the art from the artist isn't about denial. It's about protecting the impact that art had on real people's lives. Beyond the screen, fame, scandals, and all the backlash that came with Malcolm-Jamal Warner's relationship with Bill Cosby, what was his life like? Who was the man behind the Malcolm-Jamal that the world came to love? Let's see. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's life beyond the screen. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's journey is an emotional one, starting with sadness, moving through frustration, then reflection, and finally, landing on resilience. It's a deeply human response to an experience that shook both his personal life and professional identity. What's most surprising about Warner's story, though, is actually what isn't there: scandal. In an industry where many child stars stumble into public meltdowns, Warner quietly did the opposite. His life has been calm and steady, and that's not by chance. It's the result of discipline, intention, and some very smart decisions. From the moment The Cosby Show ended, Warner made it a point to distance himself from the role that made him famous: Theo Huxtable. There was a time when he openly disliked being called Theo. But that wasn't just a personal annoyance, it was a calculated move. He didn't want to be typecast. He wanted to show the world he was more than just a childhood character. And he did. Warner branched out. He directed TV shows like Kenan and Kel. He became an accomplished musician and spoken-word poet. So good, in fact, that he won a Grammy for Best Traditional R&B Performance, and even earned a nomination for Best Spoken Word Poetry Album. As an actor, he didn't play it safe either. He starred in the sitcom Malcolm and Eddie, took on dramatic roles in shows like The Resident, Suits, and Major Crimes, and appeared in the acclaimed American crime story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson. Each role showed range and growth, proof that his success wasn't luck. It was the result of real effort and consistency. And then there's what didn't happen. No arrests, no addiction scandals, no tabloid headlines. While others flamed out, Warner quietly built a career rooted in respect and longevity. "They were tired," he once said. tired of me fighting with the writers. But even that fight came from a place of care. For the work, for the characters, for the culture. In a world hungry for drama, Malcolm-Jamal Warner's greatest plot twist might just be that he chose peace, purpose, and persistence instead. Malcolm-Jamal Warner gives a lot of credit to his mother, Pamela. She managed his career and instilled a strong sense of discipline from the start. Even back in the 1980s, Warner was sharing positive messages before it was the trendy thing to do. In his 1988 book, Theo and Me Growing Up, Okay, he spoke directly to young fans, urging them to steer clear of substances and make smart choices. The book wasn't about chasing fame, it was about owning responsibility. The fact that Warner's name has never been tied to any major scandal says a lot. He didn't just make it through child stardom. He studied the downfalls of others and made a conscious effort to avoid the same traps. His creative path also shows how much he's grown. That first advice book may have leaned on his TV fame, but as time went on, his projects dug much deeper. Take his Grammy-nominated spoken word album Hiding in Plain View, or his 2017 short film You Can't Hear Me. Both tackled heavy issues: mass incarceration, racism, and deportation. These weren't just passion projects. They were bold, thoughtful works shaped by years of awareness and purpose. That mindset goes back to his childhood, too. His father had him study black leaders like Langston Hughes early on, helping shape the artist and the man he would become. Warner's transformation from a teen star to a socially conscious artist wasn't a lucky break. It's what happens when real talent is driven by meaning and when someone chooses to grow on their terms, regardless of public pressure. But not all the defining moments of his life played out on screen or in headlines. Some were deeply personal, private heartbreaks that shaped how he views love, fame, and the importance of protecting his peace. What were some of the deeply heartbreaking experiences of Malcolm-Jamal Warner? How favorable was life to him in love and marriage? Keep watching to find out. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's tragic love life. One of the most painful moments came early in his adult life: the death of Michelle Thomas. She was more than just his co-star on The Cosby Show, where she played Justine, Theo's love interest. She was also his former girlfriend. Her passing left a quiet but lasting impact on him. Even though their romantic relationship ended in 1994, Malcolm-Jamal Warner and Michelle Thomas stayed incredibly close. Then, in 1997, Thomas was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of stomach cancer. When she passed away in December 1998, at just 30 years old, Warner was reportedly by her side. Losing someone so young, someone he had shared both fame and a deep emotional bond with, was a devastating reminder of how fragile life can be. He grieved privately, quietly, with grace and deep reflection. That loss likely shaped the calm, introspective way he approaches life and love today. "I remind myself," he once said, "that no matter what's going on, there's always a reason to smile. If you just stop for a minute and really look, you'll find one." Years later, Warner found himself in a very different kind of relationship, this time in the spotlight. From 2011 to 2013, he dated actress Regina King. They had known each other since their teen star days in the 80s and eventually moved in together. But their breakup in 2013 caught fans off guard and quickly became tabloid fodder. Reports claimed Warner suddenly asked King and her son to move out. Things became even messier when, in a 2015 interview, King revealed he had broken up with her on Valentine's Day, then sent flowers afterward with a note that said, "I still love you." She said she threw the flowers away. That painful and very public split stood in stark contrast to the private heartbreak he endured with Thomas. If her loss taught him the value of deep, lasting connection, then the breakup with King seemed to teach him something else: the importance of boundaries, especially when it comes to protecting his personal life from the public eye. After his breakup with Regina King, Malcolm-Jamal Warner became noticeably more private about his relationships. He stopped sharing much in interviews or on social media. Those experiences, one deeply personal, the other painfully public, left their mark. They taught him something profound: that love is both fragile and precious, but when exposed to the spotlight, it can also turn destructive. One heartbreak taught him quiet strength, helping him grow emotionally. The other was a spectacle, a lesson in why protecting his peace mattered more than public approval. These moments didn't just shape him, they refined him. Then came the Meghan Markle moment. It didn't make headlines, but it spoke volumes. During an earlier appearance on The Tay Show, Warner was asked about working with Meghan during their time on Suits. He kept it polite, saying she was cool and nice, but when they asked if he knew she was black, his response shifted. "The great thing is that she knew," he said. It sounds harmless, maybe even kind, but listen closely. It's the subtext that lingers. Warner wasn't exactly complimenting Meghan Markle. Not really. What he said hinted at something more layered: that she knew the game but didn't always reveal just how much she understood it. That her closeness to whiteness wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. And maybe, just maybe, that's what Hollywood liked most about her. He didn't spell it out. He didn't have to. It was there, in his tone, in the hesitation, in the weight behind each word. It was quiet, but sharp, a subtle critique, and one that now feels different in hindsight. She was cool. We didn't have scenes together or anything. I'd just see her around. She was nice, chill. I was mostly talking about my best friend Chris. But this is the same industry that once celebrated Warner as a child star in the 80s, only to later keep him at a polite distance. While he spent years growing into a thoughtful director, a musician, and an advocate, Hollywood barely noticed. He wasn't part of the flashy, paparazzi-chased scene. He worked. He created. He tried to shift the culture, but he was cut short just before he could make the ultimate change in both Hollywood and the American society. How did he become the Malcolm-Jamal Warner that the world came to love and now mourn? Keep watching to find out. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's early life and defining career moments. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was born on the 18th of August, 1970, in Jersey City, New Jersey. He was named after two influential figures: civil rights leader Malcolm X and jazz pianist Ahmad Jamal. When he was 5, his family moved to Los Angeles, where he grew up. By the time he was 9, Malcolm had already shown a strong interest in acting, which led him to attend various acting schools. His early start in the entertainment world eventually led him to graduate from the Professional Children's School in New York City, a school designed for young performers. Before his big break, Malcolm made guest appearances on shows like Matt Houston, Fame, and Call to Glory. Then, in 1984, he landed the role that would define his career: Theo Huxtable, the only son of Bill Cosby's character on the hit NBC sitcom The Cosby Show. Interestingly, Malcolm won the part on the very last day of a nationwide audition search. His performance earned him an Emmy nomination in 1986 for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series. Throughout the early 90s, Warner continued to show up on popular TV shows. In 1991, he guest starred on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as Hilary Banks's boyfriend. He later starred in the short-lived NBC sitcom Here and Now from 1992 to 1993. Around that time, He also hosted CBS Story Break, a children's show that encouraged reading, from 1993 to 1994. In 1995, Warner played a homeless man, untouched by an angel. A year earlier, he appeared alongside Wesley Snipes in the action film Drop Zone, playing U.S. Marshal Terry Nessip. That same year, he took on the roles of Rory Holloway in HBO's Tyson and Leroy Cappy in the Tuskegee Airmen. Both aired in 1995. Kids of the 90s might remember him as the voice of the producer on the Magic School Bus from 1994 to 1997. Later, he co-starred with Eddie Griffin in the sitcom Malcolm and Eddie, 1996 to 2000, and played Curdy Malloy in the post-apocalyptic drama Jeremiah, 2002 to 2004. He also joined the cast of Listen Up with Jason Alexander, which aired from 2004 to 2005. In 2008, Malcolm-Jamal Warner appeared in the romantic comedy Fool's Gold, alongside Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson, playing the character Cordell. The following year, he made a guest appearance on the TNT drama Hawthorne. Between 2011 and 2012, he had a recurring role on NBC's Community as Andre, Shirley Bennett's, played by Yvette Nicole Brown, ex-husband. His character cheekily nodded to Warner's Cosby Show past by wearing a Cosby sweater he claimed belonged to his dad. Warner also co-starred in BET's 2011 sitcom Read Between the Lines as Alex Reed, an English professor married to psychologist Carla Reed, played by Girlfriend's star Tracy Ellis Ross. The show focused on their life as a blended family, raising 3 kids, Carla's children, Casey and Keenan, and their daughter together, Alexis. His performance earned him a 2012 NAACP Image Award nomination for Outstanding Actor in a Comedy Series. From 2014 to 2015, Warner played Lieutenant Chuck Cooper, a member of the LAPD's Special Investigations Section on TNT's Major Crimes. In 2016, he portrayed Al Cowlings in The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story. He later played prison counselor Julius Rowe in Season 6 of USA Network's Suits, 2016 to 2017, and took on the role of parole officer James Bagwell in Amazon's Sneaky Pete, 2017 to 2019. Most recently, from 2018 to 2023, Warner starred as Dr. A.J. the Raptor Austin on Fox's medical drama The Resident. While starring on The Cosby Show, Malcolm-Jamal Warner explored directing. He worked on music videos like New Edition's N.E. Heartbreak, 1989, rapper Special Ed's I'm the Magnificent in 1989, and 5 Stars' I Love You for Sentimental Reasons in 1994. Warner also directed episodes of several popular TV sitcoms, including The Cosby Show, All That, Kenan and Kel, Malcolm and Eddie, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In 1992, he directed Time Out, The Truth About HIV, AIDS, and You, a youth-focused public health video featuring Arsenio Hall and Magic Johnson. The project aimed to educate teens about the realities of HIV and AIDS and how to stay safe. Warner released his first jazz-funk EP, The Miles Long Mixtape, in 2003, followed by his second album, Love and Other Social Issues, in 2007. In 2015, he won a Grammy for Best Traditional R&B Performance for his role in a powerful cover of Stevie Wonder's Jesus, Children of America. The track, which honored the victims of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, featured Warner performing an original spoken-word poem alongside Robert Glasper Experiment and Layla Hathaway. Until the end of his career last week, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was a beloved star. Now you know Malcolm-Jamal Warner's final wish to Bill Cosby. What do you think about what Warner revealed? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.